Aloha, guys. I want to take a few minutes today and talk about how we utilize e-learning. If you've taken a course from me, you know that I'm a huge fan of e-learning, uh, both from a student side and from the instructor side. I think it's a great way to leverage your time to be more productive with your students. So today I want to talk a little bit, though, about how we actually use it, how the process works. So there are a couple different ways to do it, depending on if you have a facility or not. And I think that, again, if you've talked with me about this before, you know that I'm a huge proponent of having a facility. And one of the biggest reasons is specifically because of the way that e-learning works. But I'm going to show you as best I can both ways. Uh, Full disclosure, I've never used e-learning and not had it affiliated with my dive center. So I'm going to try as best I can to show you how that would work. And then I'll show you how it will work with the dive center as well. So the first thing is, how do you get the e-learning codes? How do you give them to your students? And the short answer is there's a few different ways. You can buy them yourselves and give them to your students. You can, if you have a facility, you can put a link on your website or send the link to your students, and they can pay PFI for the e-learning, and then it's automatically affiliated with your dive center. Or the student can buy the e-learning code on the PFI website by themselves. So any of those work. I think the best way is for you to purchase it and give it to your students, and that way it's part of your course. But I mean, whatever, the result is the same. But let's say that we do it that way. All right, so how do we purchase the e-learning? Well, there's a couple different ways we can do it. We can go to the shop. So I'll switch over to the PFI website here. But you can go to the online shop and purchase it that way. So click shop up here. I'm not going to do it now because I'm not going to show the members prices on a public video, but make sure that you're logged in, find the appropriate video, and then purchase it. I'm sure that everyone is familiar how to buy stuff online. The other way is to scroll down to the bottom, click on World Headquarters, and it's going to show you the different regions. So find your region, find your contact, you can email them. And then if you're not sure who your person is, you can always use the chat with us, or you can email headquarters. They'll get you in contact with the right people. If you haven't experienced the customer service, or the member service at ITI, it's pretty phenomenal. So they'll answer your questions, they'll get you set straight. But at the end of the day, once you get your codes purchased, then you're going to get an email with the codes in it. Now, I've pulled up an old email here, and this is old, so these codes have been used. So don't worry, you can't use them. But you'll get this email. It's going to look like this. It's going to say that you have received these codes. It's going to list the codes, the actual codes. So this is what you would send your students. Now, as far as what the student is going to do with those, I send out a set of instructions to my students as to how to redeem this code and how to use it. So I'll try to briefly step through that to show you how that works, so you can help your students. But you're going to take that code, and then we're going to go back over to the website. But yeah, so you'll send that code to your student. I guess that's the big takeaway there. But if we go back to the website, you're going to have your student go to My eLearning. So again, they'll need to be logged in. If they don't have an account yet, they'll need to create an account. Once they've created that account, then they can sign up for a new course. And I give them this link. So the link I give them takes them right here. Tell them to, under yes, enter the code. So that code that was in the email, they'll enter it there. They'll click redeem. Now they have the code. It's affiliated with their account. If this is the awesome part, if you have a facility, that code is also linked to your facility. So that's how I do it. I think that's probably the most straightforward way for a new student, because they probably need to create an account in the ITI system and all that. Now, there is another way you can give them the code. So if we switch over to the facility side, again, this does require you to have a facility. It requires that code to be affiliated with your facility. We'll switch over to the facility account, give it a second. All right, so once you're on the facility account, you're going to go to eLearning resources. And again, I think this is probably the biggest value in having the Dive Center, is that you have this access here. So go to manage eLearning codes. Once you're here, it's going to list all the codes that are affiliated with your facility, and you can sort them by like what's available, what's been assigned, all that stuff, right? So find one that's available. You're going to click this little plus sign, and then you can assign the code. So when you click assign the code, it's going to ask you who you want to give it to. So search by the members. You can search by email address or certification number, right? If they've previously been certified something. So I like email address. I talk about that, right? And how I manage users, right? It's probably the easiest piece of data to search members by, but put their email address in there. You're going to find their account. And now I would really caution you, make sure that it's the right person, because once you assign it to them, there's no coming back from that. So now it's been assigned to them. Now they can go through it. It's going to show up in their account the same way as if they had redeemed it. And now they can do their e-learning. So that's a great feature of having the facility. But where this really comes into play is now when you go over to manage users, once they've signed up for your e-learning, now they're affiliated with your Dive Center because they're taking one of your courses. So if I go to myself here, you can see that I've taken some e-learning before. How do we look at the e-learning? Well, once we've selected that person, we can click on reports. You can select which course you want to see. So we'll check out the free diver course and then get progress report. So click on get progress report. It's going to pull up that e-learning report. This is awesome because one, this is part of your records, right? If you're utilizing e-learning, this is their exam. So this is how you have proof of their exam. If you don't have a facility, you are relying on that student to print this out and bring it to you because you can't see it. So the other thing is this comes up in real time. So if they're not done with the training yet, it's going to show up as being in progress, like they won't have completed through the final exam. And it's going to show you all the questions that they missed so that you can review them if you're not familiar with these e-learning reports. So that's a pretty powerful tool there as far as using your e-learning and being able to see that your students are doing it, seeing what they're having trouble with, being able to pull up that e-learning report for your records without relying on them to print it up and give it to you. So that's awesome. That's how you use e-learning. So what if you aren't a facility administrator? So if you check out the how do we affiliate with the Dive Center video that I did, and I'll link that up here. But if you're not the facility administrator, can you still see the e-learning records? And the answer is yes. So how do we do that? I'll go back over to the website. Okay, so now that I'm on the website, under the instructor account, so I switch it back over, you can still view e-learning reports without being the facility administrator. So this is important, one, to know that you can do this as the instructor, but also as a facility administrator, know that just because you have an instructor teaching under your facility, you don't have to make them an administrator in order to do this. So this is good. So it's going to let you see any facility that you're affiliated with, select which one. So I'll choose high performance diving. Okay, so then you can select the user. It's only going to show the users that have done e-learning under your facility. So for example, I pulled up some e-learning that I did here a second ago, but I didn't assign myself that e-learning. That e-learning was assigned to me from PFI headquarters when the merger happened. So I don't show up because I've never done e-learning assigned from high performance diving, if that makes sense. So anyway, you can select the user, whoever you want to see, and then choose which course, just like the other window, and then get report. So it's going to show you the same report that I showed you Big takeaway, you don't have to be the facility administrator in order to see the e-learning report. You just have to have that box checked that says allow user to view e-learning from this facility. So that's e-learning. That's how we can use it on the administrative side. Obviously, there's a lot of great things you can do with it. In a practical side, how you incorporate e-learning into your course. And I think that's a really great way to leverage your time, as I said. So maybe I'll do another video on that, or if you took a course with me, an instructor course with me, we definitely talked about it because I'm a huge believer. But if you have any other questions about how we utilize e-learning, how to access things on the website, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help.